Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining Motorsport UK for the first webinar on communicating better. And we're going to be talking about Mailchimp this evening. And again, thank you for those who've joined, all the ones we've been running over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks. And the communications team are back after 2 weeks ago. We spoke about social media. We've been asked back again. So we are still in employment, which is great. And hopefully we're going to bring you some further knowledge of what we get up to and how it can help you guys in your clubs. So first of all, we're going to just introduce everyone. So my name is Ben Bunel. I've been at Motorsport UK now for a year and a half. I'm the communications manager at the company. And I've been in PR marketing for the last 8 years or so. And as well as that, I'm the British Rally Championship media manager. And joining me today, we have Sarah Tibbetts.
Hello, everybody. Yes, Ben and I obviously have done the social media webinars and various other webinars and the brilliant Motorsport UK quiz on our Facebook page recently. I work as well in the communications team as membership engagement manager. Forgot my own job title then. It's all fine. We'll hand over to Ian Berry. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ian Berry. I'm head of sport promotion and I work in the learning development team. So yeah, I've been in motorsport. How long have I been there? Since the end of February last year, so not that long, but I've been in motorsport for about 30 years, working in various commercial roles.
And we've got also Joel Cohen here as well. Joel, say hello.
Good evening. I am the General Secretary at Motorsport UK and have been for the past year, and previously a commercial lawyer for 15 years prior. And I'll be here to talk to you tonight about all things illegal in respect of your data protection obligations.
Right, and we've also got, I don't know if he's on camera or not, but we've got Ryan McLean as well. So Ryan's part of the communications team. I don't know if Ryan's there as well.
Yeah, good evening. It's Ryan McLean. I'm the data, digital and CRM analyst at Motorsport UK. I've been there for about 8 months now. And prior to that, mainly working with sort of digital companies, both client side and agency side. So I'm sort of the technical go-to man at Motorsport UK.
So thank you very much, everyone. So there we go. That's the team, and we're going to go through Mailchimp and how we can help you guys communicate a little better. So I'm going to hand back over to Sarah to talk first of all about how all this fancy Zoom works.
Yes. If we can go forward, please, Ryan. Great. Yes, just to run through the basics, this obviously is a webinar. It's a little bit different to Zoom meetings, so you may have less functions. We've obviously got the option to raise your hand throughout the evening. We may ask you to raise your hand to join in with a question or something. You can obviously talk to us at any time in the chat box. Ian's monitoring that tonight, so he will forward on any questions to us and keep an eye on that. And again, we have our Q&A box. If you want to ask any questions, please feel free throughout the night, and hopefully one of us on the panel will be able to answer them. And if not, we'll take them away and come back to you. Yeah.
There we go. So Ryan hits the next couple. We've got should have the red arrows to see what they'll do. So there we go. Chat, raise your hand. So just a quick test, everyone. If you could smash the raise your hand button, so we can hopefully see 36 people raising their hand. Here we go. The Mexican wave happens. There we go. Up it comes. 22, 25.
There we go.
Perfect. There we go. Excellent. Right, that works. You can put your hands down. Thanks very much, everyone. So there we go. That's how it's all going to work. And again, if there's any questions, pop in the Q&A. Ian's going to be looking after that. Joel's going to have a little bit of the legal and the GDPR side, and Sarah and I are going to take you through Mailchimp. So Ryan, next slide, and Sarah's going to, actually no, I'm going to lead on to it. So Mailchimp. Getting all excited about delivering another webinar. So there we go, Mailchimp. What is it all about? So it is a all-in-one marketing platform that helps you manage and communicate with your members, competitors, and more. It's a web-based application, which is great because you actually don't need to download any software or any hardware. It literally is all online, which is superb. So I think we've got a poll at this point. So I think we want to know who has used Mailchimp or at least heard of it. Is that right, Sarah?
Yeah, if you guys can put your hands up and just let us know if you've used it in the past, and if you've used a different program, we're also just intrigued to see what you've used as an alternative. If you just let us know in the chat box. if you've used something similar. I know when we were advertising this on Facebook, someone mentioned that they run their club website on Wix, and Wix offer a great free email provider. Excellent.
So there's a few people, 6 or 7 there, have heard of it and use it, which is great. So hopefully you'll be able to pick up a few bits and pieces, some tips, how you can make it a little bit better. But some people, this will be the very first time you use it. So hopefully it won't be going too fast and not too in depth. And yeah, it'll basically give a good flavor of what it is all about, because ultimately you want to give that professional, nice professional approach when you're communicating with your members or to any external stakeholders. So that's what Mailchimp is. It's going to help you email a lot better. So next slide, please. There we go, Sarah.
Okay, I don't know how many of you are going to be able to read this. It doesn't matter too much about the text, the content. This is just an example email that we received in the media inbox from Wigton Motor Club. And I think this is kind of an example of some of the emails you do tend to receive from clubs where, I mean, there's no personalization. It's not even got a hi, hello, good morning, dear. It's straight in with a headline, a little bit of copy, and the web address. And as we're going to show just going forward, there are some really simple steps you can do to hugely improve the design, appearance, and just the way you come across as a club to become so much more professional. If we can go to next slide, please, Ryan. Yeah. So the basic points of Mailchimp is that you're going to improve the designs, and using images and videos will become so much simpler. I know it can be a right pain at the moment having to insert images into emails. You know, the way they're displayed for the recipient can be so different depending on if they have downloaded pictures automatically, what browser they're using, how they're viewing. It can totally throw everything out. Whereas in Mailchimp, it's always going to render to the correct size. Videos as well, you can easily embed videos in and have links to YouTube videos. It also lets you have the centralized address list. We're going to talk a little bit later about importing an audience and obviously the GDPR things that come with that. But just to have your data stored in that one central secure place is a great function to have. And again, with that comes the automatic cleansing of email addresses. So any duplicates, anything like that will be removed. And you'll also easily be able to see if any email addresses are bouncing, if certain people just aren't opening and aren't getting involved with your club. Again, I just spoke about personalization. You can easily add in merge fields and tags to say, "Dear Ben, this is our newsletter," or whatever you like to say. You can host documents just like you would with an attachment, but it's there online, so it's much more shareable with your club members. Scheduling is another great function of Mailchimp. You know, you don't have to suddenly log onto your laptop at 8 o'clock one evening to send the email. You can schedule that whenever is convenient for yourself, or schedule something to go out the next morning. And again, I think I just mentioned everything renders great on a phone. It's really responsive, the Mailchimp software, so that it's always going to work best on a mobile or on a computer or an iPad. It's always going to adapt to what works best for the device you're using. And again, we'll come more on to GDPR with Joel, but it is compliant, and it's going to bring you in, hopefully bring you all up to a certain standard if it's needed. And we have actually got a quick poll now, just to see, a question's going to pop up on the screen, and we're just interested to see how many emails your club actually sends in a month. I think this will really vary, obviously, just depending on the size of the club, how many emails you send out. Wow, one club said 10 plus.
They're busy.
I've got just a point on that. Personalization. I've got some stats here. Personalized subject lines get a 5% higher open rate and 17.5% higher click-through rate. So it is really important to make those as personalized as you can.
Absolutely, because we're going to go a little bit about what the content of your email marketing, your email communication should be in the next couple of slides. But Yeah, we got, what's the poll saying, Sarah? I can't quite see it on mine, but what's the
Yeah.
general consensus?
So we've got majority of you, 50% are saying 1 to 3 emails a month. I think that's pretty standard. I think we're going to talk later about content, and you don't want to put people off and spam them too much, and you need a reason for communicating. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we've got 4 to 6 second, but again, I suppose it depends, how often you meet and as a club and what you've
How many
got.
events you have?
Yeah.
How many members you have? So yeah, as Sarah said, that's kind of like the snapshot there of kind of what Mailchimp can offer. Because I think a lot of, certainly from our side of things, when we've sent media releases out the old-fashioned way, it used to be via email, and you always used to have that 10 megabyte or even less in the earlier days of your size of what you could now send. But with Mailchimp, it's all hosted on a server, on a cloud. So therefore, you're not actually physically sending that big file across.
I think if Ryan just presses next as well,
Next.
example of here. I don't know again if people are going to be able to read this too much, but at Motorsport UK we've added a merge tag in here, so we're going to talk later about data and uploading data. But if you, for example, wanted to add in people's club membership numbers, you could easily put that into every email, so that every email was personalized, had their name and club membership number in. And it's super simple. And it just comes across as clean, professional, and really would hopefully get your club a really nice reputation for having professional communications. Okay, Ryan.
Okay, next. So Mailchimp, getting started. So the basic one is free, which is great. We like things that are free, and that gets you off and running really, really well. So you are limited to the amount of contacts. So the free one is only really available to having a 2,000 strong database, which I imagine for most clubs in our country will have less than 2,000 members. But if you're a bigger club, there is the option to upgrade to the essentials, which we'll talk about in a second. But with the free one, you can send 10,000 emails a month. You can segment those contacts. You can create some great tailored campaigns and analyze the success of those emails. So you can see who's opened it, who's bounced, who do we need to delete because perhaps they've had some hard bounces, they've changed their email addresses. So you can actually follow your data as well as follow your campaigns, and also set up those automated emails. Again, Sarah mentioned we can schedule them at various different times. The Essentials allows you to do a little bit more. So this is the first step up. You can tier it, obviously, depending on how many contacts you go up to, but this is the next step up, which gets you more subscribers. It allows you to tailor your campaigns a little bit better, so it allows a bit more functionality on the makeup of how it all looks. But one of the other big things is A/B testing, it's great when you do email marketing campaigns. So I don't know if anyone has ever used A/B testing. Basically, when you send a campaign out, we did it for Wales Rally GB, it works really well. So if you've got 2 headlines or 2 lead stories, for example, on a newsletter, you can see which one performs better. So if you have 2 headlines, it will then take maybe a 3-hour window. How well did those 2 perform? And the best one will then be pushed out to the rest of your audience list. So it optimizes your campaign. So again, sometimes we did some analysis on the length of headlines, what was the content in the story, use of emojis, time of day, all sorts of things, which if you want to get really into your analytics, you can do a bit later on, but that helps you with your performance on your mail shots. So that's the introduction. The best fit is 3. So now we're going to have a look when you do sign up and log in. Sarah, next slide, please, Ryan.
Just a quick question. Karen Spencer says, does Mailchimp work well with storage facilities, i.e. Dropbox?
Dropbox and Mailchimp obviously are separate. You've got to upload for example, if you talk about uploading images, you've got to upload them actually into Mailchimp. Same with any files. They are treated as 2 separate entities. I mean, there's no harm in having both. But Mailchimp, you do have to physically upload it onto their cloud, onto their server, obviously for them to anchor those links as the emails do get sent out.
Fine, that's all the questions we've got.
Okay, Sarah.
Right, setting up your account. So as Ben just said, the main basic account is free, and it's great because you don't need a credit card. There are some accounts where they claim to be free, but they still take your payment details in case you go over or whatever. But it's super simple to set up. It's free. One thing to consider when setting up your account is which email address you'd like to use. You will need access to it straight away to verify your account. So it could be your personal one, but then on the basic account, I believe you can only have one profile. Is that right, Ben? I think.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so just bear in mind, if anybody else in your club is going to want to be able to send emails or access the account, they're going to need to know that username and password or email address. So don't make it too personal if you are going to have to share that with your club members. But it's so simple. Just go up to the Mailchimp website, click sign up. And if you're not sure, I said it's free. Just have a little play around with it. Maybe after this session or when this is uploaded online, you can have this open and just go through the software and kind of get to grips with it and have a think about whether this could work for your club.
I've got a question from Derek Murphy. Do you format your emails in Mailchimp or cut and paste into it? He says he finds the editor a bit clumsy.
Yeah, it's very, very clumsy. The early days were even worse than it is now. But the best thing is to keep is to write what you'd like in a Word document. Keep the fonts very simple, so your Arials, don't make your fonts too fancy. Copy and paste into the main body. So we'll come on to a bit like what the different what email composes of in a second. But when you do copy and paste it in, there is an option if you highlight it all and then hit clear styles, that normally does bring it back into some sort of working function. And then you can then change the font. And there was a limit of about 6 or so fonts, I believe, when I first started to use it, but they have uprated the fonts. So obviously they keep it very generic on the fonts because obviously this has got to go to various different people around the world who've got different web browsers, email functions, so they've all got to read. So if we've got a fancy font, for example, it may not be read because that person may not have that font on their computer. So hopefully that's helped. There's been many a word said to Mailchimp when it doesn't quite style the way it does, but normally clear styles is your friend. There's also a little eraser button, I believe, on there as well, which helps bring it back to a font, which you can then tweak it.
So if we go on to the next slide, Ryan, we're going to quickly start with another poll before Ben takes over. We're interested here, just find it, is how does your club actually store member data? So if you're in your club responsible for sending out emails, whether that's the club newsletter, just a call for marshals or whatever, how do you actually store all that member data? So if you could just let us know. Again, if it's not one of these options, please just write it in the Q&A box and let us, or the chat box, sorry, and we can see. The Excel spreadsheet's doing very well here, Ben.
Yeah, I think it's the commonplace. Website CRM, someone's mentioned. That's yeah. So I imagine some of you guys will probably have web sign-up forms possibly already, which are on the website. CRM system again. Yeah, there's no wrong or right answer because every club, every comms person, everyone does it differently. So it's just good to get a good idea. So club database.
Microsoft Access too, yeah.
Microsoft Access, of course, yeah. I haven't used Access in a long time. Fair play.
I was going to say GCSE ICT memories.
Yeah, I found that very hard back in the day. So I doffed my cap to whoever said Access there. Okay, so we've got a good mix there. So Excel's a good starting point when we do go on to putting data in. So I will get Joel in a second to talk a little bit more about GDPR because I think it's a daunting subject to many people. Because obviously everyone wants to make sure they follow by the rules, and some people, it's better to be on the cautious side than being the sort of the blasé sort of, we can rip email addresses here and put them there. So so when you do set up an audience, there should be the ability for members to opt in or out of club communications. So if you've got a web sign-up form, great. And if there's a sign-up process for membership, it'd be ideal if you could have to have that option to tick to receive communications from us or from the club. And also built into Mailchimp on your campaign, there is the bottom, the footer at the bottom does have the legal stuff at the bottom. And as part of that, it does have the unsubscribe option. So that covers the basis if people don't want to receive any correspondence, they can unsubscribe. People have done it by mistake. They've accidentally. If I actually worked in a PR company where somebody unsubscribed themselves from their own mailing list. So he sent a press release out and actually accidentally unsubscribed himself. But we found a way to put him back in, because through Mailchimp you can do a sign up form again. But Joel just wants to have a quick mention about GDPR, which I think is a subject we all would like to know a little bit more about, and what I suppose can and be can't done when it comes to mailing. So Joel.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'm not going to speak for too long on this, but I'm going to pick out a few key things that you need to consider when looking to use Mailchimp or perhaps any other type of platform to send out emails. As the first line says here, you should have the ability to opt in or opt out. Now, in terms of your club members, they must have the ability to opt in. One of the key rules of the GDPR is to make sure that the individual who signs up continues to have control over the information they provide you with and has trust in the way you're going to use it. I'm not going to talk to you about the 7 principles of GDPR, but for those of you in the know, apologies if I'm going to duplicate any information, but the critical thing for all of you to remember is that with the excitement of sending out emails to club members, there's always a desire to try and reach out to the audience further than that you're entitled to. With that, you've got to bear in mind that you should put yourself in their shoes, knowing that nowadays, in this particular climate, there is always an ability for anyone who doesn't use information correctly that you provide them with to potentially lose control of that information if they haven't stored it properly, or for someone to tap into that information and misuse the credentials you provided. That's the same as your audience that you are emailing. And so you've got to take into account the fact that if you step into their shoes, you're going to want to make sure that the information they provide you with is protected just as much as you would want yours to be. So if you do actually ask someone as a club member, would you like to opt into emails or other correspondence, and you must make that very clear in terms of your communications with them prior to actually sending anything out. In terms of the housekeeping aspects, what it says be aware of GDPR, cleanse your data. I think this is more of a kind of housekeeping thing. Merging or removing duplicates is just by way of your own ability to control and not necessarily send several emails to one party for no good reason. If anything's outdated or incorrect in terms of anyone who's opted out, or perhaps you've kept a sheet prior to the rules coming into play, or just have a few names that you've collected that you're not sure about as to whether they should really be communicated to, then you must check that first. You must continue to fact check. And if, again, you're not sure, fact check one more time just to make sure you've removed any incomplete information. One of the key principles actually is that you don't ask for more information than you need, and that you actually use the information only for the purpose that you have been given permission to use it for. So what I mean by that is that if you're going to be communicating with any third parties on their behalf, or you intend to pass that information only to anyone from the club that you're looking to communicate with for them, i.e. For any potential offers or benefits, or that they might be taking that information to themselves, email your members directly, you must have had their permission. It is absolutely vital. I say this only again, going back to the first point, because like you, if you are providing information to someone in terms of whether it's a supermarket chain or perhaps a club that you are yourselves a part of, not just this one, that you might be involved in, then you yourself will want to know what they're doing with your information, and you certainly won't want them sending it out to anyone who might retain that information with your personal, or even more importantly, banking or other details, and misuse that, because it wouldn't be very good. And there are obviously potential issues that arise out of that, including breaches or fines, albeit that isn't something that you should be immediately concerned about. Ben, I'm not sure if we have another slide to speak to, but I think I put some other points down. However, I'm happy to go over those now, otherwise on the hoof. In terms of obviously the way you retain your data, you must obviously remember that you are known in this particular aspect under the regulations as the data controller. So you receive the information and you're controlling it, and therefore if you are going to process it, you are also the processor. If you're going to provide it to any other third party to process that information, you've got to make sure that you enter into an agreement with them, or look at the terms of that agreement to show that they too are going to adhere to the GDPR rules that you yourselves have to adhere to. the final point really is it's a reputational thing. You've got a good relationship with your club members. If you want to grow your audience, continue to make sure that you communicate in terms of asking them whether they want to opt in, or perhaps always give them that option to opt out. I'm hoping that the material you send them is actually quite exciting and fun. They don't feel like they wish to opt out of anything that you're providing them with. But remember, it's all down to your ability to control their information, maintain your reputation, and then everyone, including the GDPR, as part of the Information Commission office, is going to be satisfied with the way that you've looked after the information of your coveted members.
Joel, we've got a few questions, 3 actually so far. One from Gary Nichols. He says, should any email we send from a club have the unsubscribe section in it?
Yes, you should always, when sending out emails, provide a section which allows individuals to, if they do wish to, opt out of receiving club emails. And if they've opted in, you might think, well, hang on a second, they've opted in, so why would I therefore need to even ask them if they want to opt out? But you should always give them that opt out provision, should they find for whatever reason that they don't wish to continue to receive emails from you.
Okay, got another one from Derek Murphy. He says, Joel, can you segment your opt-in? Oh, hang on, it moves. Joel, can you segment your opt-in out, i.e. members can opt out of, say, social emails, but still opt in to, for instance, membership emails?
In terms of the different types of opt-in and opt-out?
Yeah, I guess that's preferences, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure that it would be separate.
That will come down to how you, Ryan will come to this in a bit more depth, but it will come to how you set your lists up originally. So if you've got one master list and you are sending your newsletters, your sponsors announcements, or your more fun stuff, and then a bit more of the serious stuff, obviously they're going to get everything or miss everything. But if you segment and tag them, there is a different option. But I'll actually give Ryan a bit of the floor here.
Yeah, I did actually see an email that just flagged up saying surely not in terms of individual one-to-one emails, only in terms of bulk emails. Now that is actually a nuanced point. That is correct. In terms of sending emails out on a one-to-one basis, you're directly communicating with that individual. If you're using Mailchimp, the emphasis here is that you're going to be sending out a bulk email, or you wouldn't be necessarily using Mailchimp for that purpose. So my clarification on that point is simply in relation to Mailchimp and your ability to use a bulk email. If you're communicating one-on-one with a member, no. It would be a bit obscure if you email them and say, oh, by the way, if you don't like my email on this individual basis, you might want to opt out. I'm sure they could just press the reply button and say to you, no, don't contact me again. But I'm hoping, again, they wouldn't want to do that.
Got another one from Will Barnes. He says, are we able to pass information between committee members, i.e. membership secretary and championship secretary?
So going back to my previous point, one of the main principles is that when the member opts in, that they're aware of what they're opting into, and if it is a natural kind of aspect of their opting in that you're going to be sharing information from within the club, then yes, they would expect that information to be shared. It is obviously the way you store and process that information, but if you do actually send that initial email, it should be very clear and prescriptive that you intend to use their emails for that purpose. So do, as good practice, include the fact that you will be sharing it with the relevant committee members and club secretaries for that purpose.
Good. Okay, that's all the questions that have come in so far. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do have further questions that you think about, please either send an email into webinars and I will forward those on to Joel and he'll reply directly, or if you think of anything later on, stick it in the chat box here or in the Q&A box and we'll come back to Joel later on.
Great, excellent. So yeah, just continuing on the slide, just a couple of other points. So Sarah will go into kind of building up the audience shortly, but the great thing about Mailchimp, I think we have mentioned it, is that it does remove multiple email addresses. So that fear of sending, the same campaign, for example, someone may have signed up as, I don't know, Tony Adams, but also Anthony Adams. There is no fear of that because it will look at the email address and go, actually, this is a duplicate. They only have the one. But when we do normally export the data input the data in, we normally get first names, last names, if there's an email or a membership number. That's kind of the values that we look at for for our campaigns to help us personalize, but also send it out as well. So next slide, please. Sarah.
So to carry on setting up your audience, I think as we've just said, or Ben's just mentioned, always ensure you have your the first name, last name, email address, and potentially club membership number as a minimum, so that you can, at least at the most basic level, personalize your emails. I know Ian spoke earlier saying that it's going to have a 30% higher open rate if you personalize, and it really does just make a difference saying hi Sarah rather than just hi club member. And then uploading data. Interesting, most of you said it was already in an Excel document. So that could literally be a case of you can copy and paste it into Mailchimp, all of the fields, or you can just save that Excel document as a CSV file. CSV is literally just a file type. If you go save as, you can save it as that. I think you can also upload as a TXT file. Is that right, Ryan?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so you can just save it with a compatible file type and upload it. It's super simple. From that, Mailchimp was designed so you only need one audience. I believe on the basic free package, you are only allowed the one audience. But that is great because Mailchimp has a great selection of tools to help you segment and organize your contacts so that you don't have to email just this one audience the whole time. I don't want to get too weighed down with tagging your contacts. But if you're a smaller club and it may be that generally you want your emails to go to everybody, you don't really need to worry. You can just stick to that core audience. If you want to segment your emails a little bit more, so maybe you want to have one email going out to all your marshals, one out to people who have previously entered your events. Maybe you have a core organizing committee you would just want to email. That may be a great way of tagging your audience. And I know we've just spoken about preferences as well. Is that something that works with that, Ryan, from the different tags, or is that a separate thing?
Yeah, so it's all about letting people opt in to what communication they want to receive. So if you're a small club and you have a single newsletter that you send out, that's much easier because by accepting communications from the club, that's all you're expecting to receive. If you're a larger club and you've got multiple mailing lists or newsletters going out, some will apply to different people. So for example, with Motorsport UK, we have a clerk's bulletin, we have a scrutineer's bulletin, we have members' emails. And what we do when people sign up is we allow them to decide which ones they want to receive. And if further down the line they decide they no longer want to receive any given one, they can go into their preferences and remove themselves from any one of those rather than completely unsubscribing from all communications. So it's just how advanced you want to create your mailing list. Yeah.
So we're keeping it pretty simple today because I know that there may be some people on here who have never used Mailchimp. But definitely, have a play around with the tags if you uploaded your data. And again, if you did want to segment it into, say, volunteers and general competitors or just club members, it's handy uploading them in separate documents. Or even if you just copy and paste them and upload all the competitors, you can then tag all these people you've uploaded as competitors. You can then highlight the volunteers, upload them as volunteers. And that's just a really simple way of tagging them. And then at least when you look at your data, you can see it broken down into competitors, volunteers, etc. And again, I said the basic package only comes with one audience. But if you did decide that, I think it's only £8-9 a month. If you did decide that as a club you wanted some of the extra features such as A/B testing and another audience, then if you create another audience, it does make the cost go up. And that is how the Mailchimp charging works, is that the more contacts you add, and the more subscribers you have, the more they will charge once you go above that 2,000 limit. So it's best just to try and keep your data tidy, keep it clean, and keep it to that one audience if possible. Okay, Ryan?
So we've all done it. Building your very first email. It's I think for the first time it was exciting and daunting at the same time that you actually got the power to go and do this. But hopefully you guys can see on the right hand side here, this is a rough template, a kind of outline of what a one column will look like on Mailchimp. This is one of the options you can select. The reason we've chosen one column and the reason why we do adopt a one column approach at Motorsport UK is that it optimizes for mobile phone usage. So I'm sure a lot of people who are out and about and they are getting their emails, they are looking on their phone, not necessarily just their desktop. So it optimizes for both users and both platforms. But yeah, just on the grey markings, you can see obviously when we saw that first email from one of the motor clubs, I'm sure the content was good, but it automatically looks like it could be a spam advert or it could be for something else. And we get hundreds, thousands of emails by the week. So it kind of, for us, it needs to jump out a little bit more. And also for your members as well, if they've subscribed to lots of things, you don't want it to go missing out of their inbox. So there, we can put in logos. You can see rough lines for where text would be. You can drop in images. Also, if you have a YouTube video, you can upload that, and it will push people to the YouTube. Also, you can push documents through to websites. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's very modular as well. So with building blocks, you can literally drag and drop onto this template to how you want it to look. You can change the color backgrounds, fonts, images. There's so much you can do to make it marry your brand as a club, your website, however you see fit. So we mentioned mobile responsiveness. What else have we got?
I've got a question, or just a point here, actually. The average time reading an email is 21 seconds. So there is thing about keep it simple. And only about 2%. I don't think this is actually relevant for clubs because I think a club is a very specific audience who are interested in the content. But on average, around 2% of people will actually read the email in full. So if you can get the messages across real quick, it makes a real difference. I've just got one other question. Sorry, I don't want to break the thread here, but
sorry.
Chris Deal says, where is the data stored and how secure is it?
Let's throw that to Ryan.
Yep. So with the data is stored within your Mailchimp account. So obviously they have as an online piece of software, they have all of the security in principle. So it's as strong as the password you use in your account, and I hope you're all using long passwords because that's the most secure way to protect your account. But they handle all that on their servers, so it's all protected. I mean, Mailchimp is a global company, and it's where we store our data, so there's no concerns from that side. It's much safer than an Excel spreadsheet that could get into the wrong hands. Yeah,
so American-based company with the storage there, and also they have the EU relationship as well to work with European outlets, European companies, European law, as well as obviously the state side as well. Very secure. Again, this is I think my 9th year I've been with Mailchimp. And I've not had an issue to date on the data front. And just on that point, as Ian said, we wanted to make it look as attractive as possible. I know probably club members are very keen to look at mailings because obviously they've got an invested interest. But if they've had a troublesome day and they're flicking through their emails, you want to engage with them. And I think the biggest step is to get them into the email. So a good catchy headline, something that's not too waffly. Something that looks, again, you can play around with your preview text as well. And then once you're actually into the email, you don't have to, you may have noticed on some of the Motorsport UK ones, we don't put the full, for example, on a newsletter, we don't put in the full story. We put the image in, maybe the first couple of lines, put the, the the ellipsis at the end for people to go, I want to read more, to then click through to a website. To keep it, again, nice and condensed because you don't want things to scroll and scroll. So again, I think normally, by the second story, people have lost interest. So if it's nice and condensed, nicely packaged, and again, if there's a call to action for people to go onto a website or click to watch a video, that's also an end bonus. Because the most important thing is you've got to understand why you're sending this email, because we don't want to just send emails for the sake of it. They've got to be good, clean mailings, because we don't want people to unsubscribe. You want a nice, healthy list of people to engage with you.
Derek Murphy's asked a question. And there's various answers to this, but he asked, what is the typical open percentage?
It varies depending on your list size. So at Motorsport UK, we've got a variety of different mailing lists, from media lists to various club lists to individuals, whether it be scrutineers, and they will vary depending on the smaller list and the more engaged, they're more likely to open. But obviously a bigger, where we do like a media release, not everyone's going to be interested in reading that story at that particular time. So that may fluctuate. So the higher the percentage, the better. And you can also look at that on your analytics and your reporting, which is also on the free one as well, which we'll come to in a bit.
What I will say on that is sport as an industry will see higher click-through rates, as particularly as a membership. We typically see somewhere around 40% plus, but that sort of varies across different industries, and that would be considered very high, very, very high.
I was going to say, yeah. So on the industry expert in PR was 17-18%, and as a there you go, rule of thumb, we're well above, and even our media lists are in the late 20s, early 30s. So just to give you an idea of our performance and how we're better than what the industry average is, because again, it's engaging content and not the right emails at the right time.
Sarah and I have been watching what we get with the club newsletter, and we're getting about 50% or just shy of 50% open rates on that, which we're pleased with, but it's never enough for me. And another interesting stat I've got is that the life of an EDM is only a day. So if people haven't opened it in a day, the open rates obviously drop well off. I'm all in favour of sending people a second email a couple of days later, just as a reminder, maybe with a different heading, maybe slightly different in the text. But I'm against that because I think it absolutely works. But different people have different views on how you should send emails.
Yeah, I think if there's something, for example, if it was your club newsletter, I wouldn't force that down people's throats. If they want to read it, great. If they don't, that's their problem. But if it's, for example, something where you're maybe marketing an event, so you've got, I don't know, a rally at the end of the season, for example, and you've announced, you can use Mailchimp to do a bit of an announcement to say rally is open, entries go live. You can maybe do a follow-up announcement to say here's the route, and again, just keep plugging the fact that entries are open. So as Ian said, it's good to reinforce messages. We don't necessarily want to do it every day, but if there's, going back to our most important thing, why are you sending the email? If there's a story or there's a need for it to be sent, you can then tailor that messaging to really get the most out of it and get that end result of people opening, clicking, and doing that call to action, hopefully fulfilling and fully subscribing to your event. Next, please, Ryan.
Yeah, hopefully this will be clear. If not, I'm sure in the video at the end, or we can send the slides around. This just gives you a breakdown of kind of what a basic email template is, what it should look like. It's obviously different blocks going through it. We have the header, which is, we have it as our Motorsport UK logo, obviously. You can have it as your club logo, or you could just leave it as a block color if you liked. Then a nice lead header image is always great, especially, you know, Ian saying if you're trying to draw people in, a really nice image from a club event or just a nice action shot is really nice just to get people's attention if they open up the email, or even if it's just a club logo. So if people are kind of not really paying that much attention to their inbox, they're going to open it up and instantly see that it's from you. Again, we just keep it to one column so that it works best on all platforms. Links as well. It's always really important if you want someone to click through to, I don't know, enter an event, visit your website. We always have it in these lovely big bright red boxes, you've probably noticed. Make it obvious, make them stand out, and make the call to action clear if that's what you're asking someone to do. You know, make it as easy for people as possible so that if they are just scrolling through on their phone for literally 20 seconds, they can click to read more, they can click to enter, and it's super simple for them. Again, we play around with these different content boxes. We have the image and the text. Mailchimp does come the free version with basic templates. So if you wish, you can choose to build something from scratch, or you can play around with their templates and just kind of get a feel for what works for your club, and you know, what kind of feel you're going for. I know we spoke in the social media one about having a kind of a tone of voice for your club, or just a kind of vague brand guidelines of, you know, how you would like to come across to prospective members and to your members. Again, just have a think about, you know, it's always a good idea to go back through your own inbox, and if there's a certain brand or a certain company where you think, oh, I always open their emails, or I love the design of that, just have a think about it and break it down and think, what did I like about that? You know, was it the images they use? Is it their subject lines, the headings? You know, is it the way they structure it? Do they have boxes like this? And just have a think about that. And again, the footer, footers are a great way. It's amazing looking at the reporting. We'll get to that in a moment. But the reporting on Motorsport UK emails, how many people actually use the social media links at the bottom and click through, whether that's to the website, our Facebook, our Twitter. Don't miss out on the opportunity to just pop those in. I think Ryan's created this for us just using a basic Mailchimp footer, which is part of the template. So it's really simple to set up. You can just go into your account settings, put in your social media accounts for your club, and then they'll always be at the bottom of your emails as long as you will have your template set up. And it's a great way to drive traffic to your website and your social media accounts.
Yeah, I think just whilst we're on that slide, just there at the very bottom, you may not be able to see on your screens, but it's got the underneath the Motorsport UK logo in the blue there. It's got all the legal information we were talking about before. So that's where the unsubscribe link is, which is automatically built into campaigns. So when you are playing around with the footer, you'll be able to put your details in there, your address, but also the unsubscribe links that will be there as well, which you'll see them as an embedded code, and that's what they will look like there. So it's not quite clear, but do have a look at whether it's Motorsport UK's or any others. You'll see at the very bottom there that legal unsubscribe at the bottom as well, which we were talking about earlier.
One of the advantages of Mailchimp, in fact, is that it won't actually let you send the email unless you've included the legal required data. So that's a good way to avoid. Yeah, it's a good fail-safe. Yeah,
and absolutely. We'll go on to that actually in the next one. Next slide. Right, that's it from you, Sarah, on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so effectively, we've talked about the lists, what it should look like. So one of the things, obviously, is we mentioned briefly the subject line and the preview text. That's got to be the reason for people to hop into that email to find out more. But there are fail-safes, because I think when I first used it, I was very nervous when you're sending out a big announcement, press release. I was very nervous and kind of going, right, actually, what's this look like? Who am I sending it to? But there are fail-safes in place to help you get on top of it. So there's the ability, even with the freebie option, you can send tests to yourself. So first of all, you can enter a preview mode to see what's going to look like on a mobile phone, what it's going to look like on a computer. And you've also got the ability to send a test email to yourself or a fellow club member. So always good practice. We always send tests to each other just to kind of go, right, what's it look like on your computer? If someone's running a Mac, does it look different to a Mac to a PC? Especially on your first couple, it's always good just to get another pair of eyes on it and go, is it loading correctly? Does that look right? Also a little bit of proofing as well. So you can actually see what it looks like on a mobile, what it looks like on a laptop. Check any of the links as well. You've got that ability. And also, when you do hit send, there is actually 2 fail-safes. So when you do hit send, it doesn't go straight away. It then asks you, are you really sure? And then you hit send, and away it does go. And when it does go, that is it, I'm afraid, folks. You can't retract it. It's out there in the public domain. So do double check. As they say, measure twice, cut once. Because when it does go, it does go. But you can send amendments out, but you'd rather get it right on the first go. So I think once you've sent your first few out, you'll be able to get a bit more of an idea of the reporting, which I think Sarah will go on to the next slide, I think, just looking at that. So we'll go on the next slide, please, Ryan. There we go, the reporting.
May have sent the email, but it's not over yet.
Never is.
As soon as you've sent that email, if you really want to, you can sit and look at the reporting live. In your campaign homepage, it will come up when you log into Mailchimp, when you've sent a few campaigns or emails. That's worth clarifying as well. Mailchimp calls emails campaigns. Each email is a separate campaign, and that can be quite confusing if you're new to the platform and you're thinking, what are all these campaigns? But they are just your emails going out. So it will give you a list of them all, and then next to each one, I think it tells you the open rate and is it the delivery rate and the open rate? I think it just shows you on a quick view. So that's a nice idea. If you're just scrolling through your campaign homepage, you can at least get a feel for, it should be blindingly obvious if something's done badly or something's doing really well and people are really enjoying a particular email or a particular newsletter. So Mailchimp is brilliant because all this is included in the basic free software. So as I said, you can track delivery rates. This is great because it will let you see how many email addresses are actually active and correct. You should be able to easily see here if you're getting bounce backs, if maybe there's a typo in an email address, if one email address is always coming up as an unsuccessful delivery. Again, that's a great way of just checking your data, because it will literally shout it out to you. You know, that delivery rate should always be 99 or 100%. The open rate, again, we've just spoken about what is a good open rate. It's always a good idea just to keep an eye on open rates and kind of what content works well, what people are enjoying. Some people, I believe there's a statistic that open rates are a tiny bit higher if you put an emoji in the subject line. It probably depends.
We've done the science. We did the science of Wales Rally GB last year, and the open rates were a little bit more.
There you go then. So don't be afraid to try out an emoji. And again, like, you can play around with it. If it's just your club members, there's no reason why you can't put a little checkered flag or a car emoji in, or maybe a little trophy for an awards evening invite, and just see if it does perform that little bit better. You can also see the number of clicks. That's overall and unique clicks. It's always useful, again, if you have a call to action, or, you know, you want people to enter your event or read a further story, just to see who's actually and clicking through. And again, bounce backs and unsubscribers. Unfortunately, there may be the odd unsubscriber to your emails, but, you know, always give them always give them the option. And if Ryan, I think if you click, I don't know how clear it's going to be, but this is just an overview of, I think this was from the last club newsletter, in fact. So it was opened by, 928 people. But you'll see the total opens. It's worth noting on here as well, if somebody forwards the email on, it will count as that one person opening it a lot of times. So it does let you view on Mailchimp who's actually clicked and who's opened the email. So you will see users with the most opens, and it does appear that, somebody has opened the email 70 times. You think, nobody likes our newsletters that much.
Oh, I don't know. It's great content.
And that will be that somebody has just forwarded it on to their club members or somebody else. But it's just a brilliant way of tracking how your emails are doing. And as we've said here, just create a simple Excel spreadsheet that all it has to be, where you just keep an eye on your key statistics. So they probably just open rate, click rate. And even if you just did those, to be honest, it would just let you have a quick look. And maybe actually you can write down the time sent. I know last year we did a lot of work looking at the best time to send emails and how people were engaging. And we noted down, whether it was the morning or it was the evening, and we did a lot of A/B testing. But even just a simple way as a club, you can think, oh, do we send our newsletter on a Tuesday or a Friday? Do people, when are people reading it? When do they want to get the content? You don't really want to send probably an email inviting people to enter an event, in the middle of a Tuesday morning when they're going to be in a meeting. So it's interesting just to compare timings and analyze the data. Okay. And that's it from us anyway. This is just a basic overview that we're doing here of Mailchimp. So hopefully we've given you an idea and maybe some ideas about how you can take your club emails forward, switch them up a little bit. And again, it's free. So if you're not 100% sure, you can just go on the Mailchimp website, have a play around, see if you can get the templates to work for you, if you can get on with the software, and see if it can work, basically. And I think if you are interested, I think we've got another poll here. If you are interested in setting up Mailchimp, playing around with it, and you think you'd like to take it further, we're quite happy to do another more in-depth webinar where we talk more about actually maybe doing some A/B testing, tagging, breaking down your data, segmenting it, and looking a bit further at all the functionality of Mailchimp. Because we've kind of just covered the basics of how to get started, but there's a lot more, and I know Ryan's learning things every day.
There's so much. I think we've mentioned newsletters quite a lot. I think that's probably one thing to bring the community together, because that's obviously one thing. I used to be the magazine editor for my local motorsport club, and that used to be some clubs still do that, but obviously now a newsletter is a great way in the kind of the electronic world to do that. But your club can send out press releases. They can send out invites to an award evening. It's so multifaceted. You could do so much with it. There is, sign up forms for websites can be built. There's so much that can do. You can link, I think, link your Google Analytics if you're that far advanced on your website. You can link that to your Mailchimp as well to pull some of those stats through to see where those people are going afterwards. But yeah, just those links. You can see how well those links do. So if you've got a link to click through to a video, or if your images have been opened, you can actually see how many people are doing that and who. It's very, very scary, but it's good. Very scary to see how much information is available at your fingertips within seconds of a campaign going out. It was very handy on the press release side of things just to go, okay, who do we need to then follow up with for any more comms?
Yeah, it's interesting now we've had 78% of you would like a more in-depth webinar. So yeah, we can definitely look into that and get something scheduled, and we can get Ryan getting technical.
Yeah, we've hidden Ryan at the moment, haven't we? I've got Derek Murphy has made a good point about segmenting, that they're getting something like 60% open rate, and I made the point that there's 40% not opening, and he said, yeah, that's why they want to do segmentation, so they can maybe contact those 40%. If there is a pattern, if they can establish a pattern from some of the EDMs using Mailchimp, they can then contact that 40% and go, okay, why are you not engaging with us? So I think what Mailchimp, rather than just sending out an email via Microsoft Outlook or whatever, using Mailchimp does give you an amazing insight. We've got another question not related to this one. Oh, I've got two. Hang on.
I was just going to say.
Any questions? It's not a one-way street. Any questions, please feel free to
Send
fire
some
them.
questions through if you've got questions. But Sue Fossey said, thanks for the great summary. I missed the social media presentation. Can I find it online, or will you run that again?
Yes, it is currently live on our YouTube channel. I'll pop a link in the chat box, but we can link to previous webinars and page on our website where all our marketing ones are aimed at, and you can view them all online there. Same as the marketing one from last week. We had Tom Baker joining us from Talk Motorsport, and a marketing agency in Northampton, who just gave a basic overview of building a marketing strategy. So that they're all available online.
Yeah, a little plug, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It has had a bit of an overhaul fairly recently by yours truly. So do give it a subscribe, because all the webinars go on there. So obviously videos, we're getting to the point of we're restarting Motorsport soon. So there's also a bit of back catalogue stuff as well. So do give it a subscribe. So Motorsport UK on YouTube is where these webinars will be.
I've just had another email in, but I'll deal with that separately. Yeah, if you've got any other questions, put them into the webinar chat as quick as you can. I've also got a plug. One of the things that has clearly come to light is that there are club personnel who do not have an official role, or therefore not registered with us, but do partake in volunteering and working for their clubs, and they're not on our database in any way. So what Ryan has done is set up a keep in touch page, and if you go to our website and press the contact button, which I believe is top right, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah.
And then once you press that, you'll see a keep in touch tab, and you press that, and you can put in your preferences whether you want to get newsletters for clubs, or whether you want to get newsletters for scrutineers or whatever. And I would urge you all to talk with your colleagues in your clubs and get them to put their details in, because it's clear that the databases that we have historically had are not as complete as we would like them to be, in order for us to engage with you, the clubs, and our audience. So please have a look at that later on and forward that on to that link to your colleagues. Oh, all right, we've got some questions. Oh no, that was just from Sarah. Sorry, getting overexcited.
The little things in life, isn't it, Ian?
A question. Right. Okay. Maybe that's it then. If there's nothing else come in.
No, we do appreciate, spending a bit of time with us here this evening, just getting a bit of a flavour of what Mailchimp's all about. And we are looking to do more of these. We did a marketing one, as Sarah said last week. We did social media. I'm sure we can do a little bit about PR, a little bit of sort of press relations. I think that's something that's on the agenda for the future.
Yeah, it's been interesting actually. We've been sending out just a short survey after all of these webinars about future topics that we've been thinking about, and just to see what you guys are interested in. Club developers come out as the number one most requested, and we're actually planning that at the moment. We're working with our club of the year last year, Clear the Road District Motor Club, to actually bring them in and talk about the work that they've been doing, because hopefully that'll be more interesting for you guys to actually hear it from a club who've implemented strategies and found that, you know, they've engaged younger members, they've got new members in, and they can talk about what they've been doing themselves. So we're working on that for the end of July. That will be up online soon to sign up for. So we're working on club development. As Ben said, we spoke about doing a kind of basic copywriting one for press releases, for emails, for general marketing, just some basics just to get you through communicating for your club. And I think they're the most two popular at the moment. We've also had one requested for websites, just like best practice tips for building a club website. So I think that again will be interesting. And there will be a follow-up email coming out tomorrow. Hello, Adrian's daughter, Sienna.
The star of the show.
Yeah, we'd love to know your thoughts if anyone has any feedback for future topics. Clearly, there is an appetite here for and more in-depth Mailchimp one, which we can organise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've just scratched the surface here.
Just a quickie from me. Chris Deal, I saw what you wrote and I will email you directly after this. That was completely random and separate, sorry.
Okay.
Show the class, Ian.
Passing notes.
I think if there's no more questions, we'll give it another minute or two. I'd just like to thank everyone who's joined in and put up with us for the last hour or so. And also thank you to Sarah, Joel, Ian, and Ryan as well in the background for adding their little bit of input. And yeah, it's great that we enjoy this because obviously we are fans of the sport as well. And we want to relay what we perhaps do and give any advice, any hints and tips to make you guys a little bit better. And yeah, if there's no more questions, just like to say we wish everyone safe and well on behalf of Motorsport UK. And we're very excited. Motorsport is starting once again this weekend, and we hope you keep safe and hope to see you at events in the very near future. So, no more questions, Ian?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for their time. Everybody, a lot of people working for clubs, mainly looking at the list we've got here, all volunteers, so they're giving up their time to be part of this. So I'm very grateful.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to say it again, class dismissed. Thank you very much.